So make sure everything is focused. We'll get a nice wide angle shot so we can see what everything looks like, you know? Get a little bit of the sidewalk. So today I'm doing photos for a property that's going on the MLS. Now, first thing that I do when I'm going to take photos for a property, and this property we're doing MLS photos and also amenities photos. So the first thing I do is I walk through the property and I turn all the lights on. I make sure things are in order. So this listing is not in the best of condition. You can see there's things all over the place. So most of what you're seeing here, I'll be able to Photoshop most of this stuff out, like the ladder and so forth. But you can see there's stuff on the floor. Looks like they're doing a little bit of remodeling or some paint work. Toilet seat, I'll make sure the toilet seats are down. And when the photos are done, you won't even be able to tell that all this stuff was laying around. For my settings, I have my lens at 16 millimeter and I'm at f9, and my ISO, I'm just gonna cut the ISO down just a little bit, cut it down to 400. I'm just gonna set up for the first shot. So I'm doing bracketed shots, 3-shot brackets. So I generally will get 2 shots of each room. I try to get as much out of the way as possible. I'm gonna shift this stuff over. You never know what you're gonna run into when you do a shoot. The best thing is to accommodate your realtor. So you can see the bathroom, you know, toilet seats up. So I'll go ahead and put the toilet seat down and get this thing here out the way. Now, as you can see, I'm filming myself and taking photos. It's a little bit of a challenge. Now with the tub, just to try to get a wider angle, I'm gonna go in the tub. There we go. It's gonna give me a much wider angle. You know, so I try to put myself in the shoes of the realtor. You know, if I were selling this house, what would I want to have stand out? So I try to get as creative with these photos as possible. Not just creative, but actually practical, as practical as possible with these photos. Now, as far as the garage goes, there's a lot going on in here. Just going to get a shot looking towards the garage door, and we're going to Photoshop all that stuff out the way. All right, so let's get some of this stuff out the way. Like I said, I don't mind moving stuff. I thought I was a spider. All right, so get a nice wide angle, and this here is just to give you a view of the shot that I'm going for. Now, as for the bathroom, we'll close the toilet. So we'll probably end up with anywhere from 35 to 40 images. Total with the amenities, probably close to 50 images, and that's also including drones. I try not to go too overboard. I may, when I get the photos edited, I may narrow it down to 40 of the best images. All right, so you can see the big difference. We cleared up all the stuff that was on the floor, and now we're gonna take photos of the living room area. The reason why I decide to move everything versus Photoshopping is that there's a lot of, you know, you see the tiles. Sometimes you can Photoshop and the lines may not line up as nicely. And not only that, it's additional work that you're gonna have to do later, so why not just get that out the way now, you know, if it's not gonna take much time. It probably takes less time to move the stuff versus Photoshop and everything. All right, so this trash bin I'm going to move that out of the way. The screen, I'll go ahead and leave that. Actually, we'll move the screen out the way also. Might as well. All right, so let's set up for a really nice shot. And then one from back here. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to work on clearing the kitchen area. So all this stuff can stay there. This stuff can stay. That'll Photoshop easily. This stuff will get this stuff out the way. We can put this stuff in here. All right, so this looks a lot better. We'll get a shot like that. That's a nice angle there. Okay, so we'll get this angle. That's a nice angle. I'll get a shot from here. That's the angle I'm going for. And we'll get a shot from this angle. One from over here. All right, so I don't want to drag this out too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish up with a few shots of the lanai. Then I'm going to head outside, do the exterior shots, and do my drone shots. Then we're going to head over to the amenities and get those shots done. And that'll wrap up the shoot.